I was reading my book this morning. I'm still reading the assembly theory book. And then I paused and watched the trailer for Hamnet, the new Chloe Zhao movie. And I just was struck with this overwhelming feeling of awe. And like, I can't even describe this feeling, but it felt like too big to stay inside of me. And I just had this desire to create something, like move it into the world or express it. Like it felt like so big, it wanted to be expressed. And I was reflecting on how much of my life I've been a observer of others who express this feeling. Awe is the best word I have, but like observing when people are connected to source and are compelled to create something that feels like it just has to come through them. And I was like, oh, I want to create, what is my own creation? What is my own outlet? Is that what it feels like? Where you're just like, what does it feel like? Maybe I'm just curious. What does it feel like when you have a feeling where you're like, this needs to come through me, and you don't quite have the modality or the mechanism for it to flow yet? What does that feel like? And what do you do?
Welcome to Noticing, a podcast about nothing and everything at the same time. This week is our 10th episode, and we talk about this feeling that I had, and I turned to my dear friend Christina to explain, what is this that I'm feeling? So we talked about what Christina calls a directional feeling, receiving this feeling of awe from other people's work and wanting that to move through us as us. And as we continue to talk, we realize that only by loving yourself can you allow yourself to create something unexpected that you're really proud of. And for maybe the first time in my life, I found myself completely speechless after Christina dropped a bombshell of an insight on me. So I hope you enjoy. So before we jump in, I have to tell you a little story of what just happened to me. So I was at the park walking Juno, and I was, reflecting on our talk, and then my reflecting kind of started to move into rehearsing territory, like rehearsing what I was going to say. And as soon as it did, I slipped on a piece of ice and almost fell on my ass. I stayed upright, but just barely. And I started laughing hysterically because, of course, I would slip on a piece of ice. Life is very clear of where it wants me. It wants me right here, right now, not practicing for the future, not ruminating on the past. It was the most joyous moment in the middle of this beautiful field full of snow, and no one was there, and I laughed out loud, just as loud as I could, and it was wonderful.
I love that.
It was so good.
Oh my God. I love that it was just like, no, it's in your body. Watch out. Don't die.
Yeah, just enough not to hurt me, but to get my attention. So, since I stopped rehearsing, how do you want to enter this conversation?
Yeah. I mean, so I feel like we can just begin. So yesterday, Becky sent me a message that was so electric and elated. And like I could hear her whole being vibrating. And we just recorded the most recent episode to be released like a couple of days ago, I think.
Yeah.
And when Becky sent me this message, both of us individually said at the same time, and then sent different voice messages that had the same information, that we should pause and have this conversation together so that other people can hear it, because it's so fertile. So if you can, there's the introduction. If you can
Perfect.
Go.
Go.
3, 2, 1, like my kids say. Tell me 3, 2, 1, go. Okay,
Aww.
Becky. 3, 2, 1.
Go. Okay. So I'll set the context that this happened at the end of a week where I intentionally had a lot of alone time. Tara was out of town. My partner Tara was out of town. And before she left, I set the intention that I really want to slow down. I channeled my inner Christina and remembered, kind of the beginning of this awakening period for you where you were like, I am intentionally going to be in my studio and receive slow time. So that was kind of my intention and my mantra, not to repeat or replicate what your experience was, but just I've been noticing this call to go inward. And I think it started with that message around self-love. I just got this. I mean, where does it start? It's been it's an ongoing journey, but I'm noticing these little pieces. And when I got the piece of what does self-love in action look like for me? What does it mean to love myself? And so I've been kind of sitting with and noticing that message or inquiry. I've just kind of been sitting with it, but very much on the back burner, not actively thinking about it. So I went into this week and it just kind of looked like following my inner guide and following my inner rhythm, and deeply listening, letting myself get bored, letting myself not distract myself, letting myself stop things when they were no longer feeling alive and in alignment. So on the day before Tara got back, so this must have been yesterday, day before yesterday. It was it yesterday? Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I was reading my book. I'm still reading the book on assembly theory, Life as No One Knows It. One, because I'm a really slow reader, and two, because I'm really savoring it. It's been really impactful. So I'm reading my book, and I just had this like feeling stir in me. And I wanted to put it down for a second. And something prompted me to watch the trailer for the movie Hamnet, which, for those of you who aren't in pop culture like Christina,
I had no idea what this was.
so it's the new movie by Chloe Zhao, who I love. She's an incredible director. She won the Academy Award for No Man's Land. She directed my favorite Marvel movie. Like, talk about taking a Marvel movie and making it epic and just like filled with awe. That's the best word that keeps coming out. So I just love her. And she's directing this movie that comes out today called Hamnet. And it's based on the book Hamnet, which is based on William Shakespeare's life and how he lost his son. His son was named Hamnet. And it's kind of leading him to create Hamlet. And I'm really excited about this movie. Jessie Buckley plays William Shakespeare's wife, and she is just a force of nature. So I watched this trailer. I've watched it before, but I was like preparing, like getting excited. And I just was filled with this feeling. The only word I have for it is awe. And I just felt like I don't know. The point is I didn't know how to describe it. I didn't know what to do with it. It kind of came with this feeling that I initially labeled as frustration because it felt like, oh, I just want to do something with this. I just want to like put this out in the world. Like I want to do something with this. And, I've done enough work that I paused and I was like, what if I thought back to this practice that I've done with anxiety. And I kind of reframed the sensations of anxiety or nervousness into labeling it excitement. In the body, they are the same feeling. And often we feel nerves or anxiety about things we're excited about, because it's unknown. And that practice has been really powerful. So I paused and I sat with that feeling that I was labeling frustration. And I said, what if this is anticipation? Obviously, I was thinking of you, Christina, of how you've described things like wanting to come through you and like whispering through you. And I started to get really curious, which is interesting because We just had the full moon in Gemini, and I am a double Gemini, so this is my core. And Gemini is all about curiosity and asking questions and being a little investigative reporter. So I was like, let me ask Christina. And so I sent you the voice memo. And actually, it took me about halfway through the voice memo. I started off with these assumptions with like, I assume this feels like this when the book's coming through or when art's coming through. And I was like, wait, no, let me ask you, is this what you feel? What do you call this? What do you do with this? And it just felt like this moment of pure aliveness and excitement. And I've had reflections since, but I think I'm going to pause here because this is when you came in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could hear the excitement in your voice, and there was energy that wanted to move towards something. And so what you are describing, I believe, is that you feel inspired by others creating something and you want to create something yourself. True?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
And I will add, I have no idea what it is. So that's the new thing for me because I've had inspirations before of like an inspiration for a class I want to teach or a talk I want to give or whatever. This is the first time where it's like I have no idea what the thing is. I don't even know what the domain is.
yeah, it's so exciting. This is a feeling that I have had lifelong, and what you're describing is just what it feels like to want your creative energy to take form in something. And the people that made the work that you were inspired by definitely, I guarantee you 1000% had this feeling before they made the work that inspired you. So it's this beautiful, infectious feeling that grabs a hold of all of us, especially if we're in a flow state and can trust that the feeling will take form in whatever it's meant to take. So I mean, I've had this feeling lifelong from when I probably frustrated my parents and said, I want to make my bedroom into a beach and I'm going to put sand. We can buy sand and I'm going to put sand all over the floor of my bedroom. And then I can hang up fake trees and stuff and just make it feel like the jungle, but also the beach and my feet will sink into it. You know, my kids do it all the time now too. And at some point, many of us stop that feeling, or we're trained to stop that feeling. For those of us who are very lucky, I include myself in that group, we are encouraged with enough sanity, you know, and
I was curious if your parents actually let you do the beach.
No, I didn't do the beach. But they steered me towards other ideas because that energy, it really does just want to take form in something. So I channeled that into many different paths. But it's something that when you have this feeling, this is why we work so well, again, because it was really important for me and why I wanted to talk to you about this even more right now, to flesh out what this experience is, because it's something that is like in the fabric of my entire being. But essentially, your role, or one's role who has this feeling, is to be with it, to use your words. Can you be with it? And can you let it stay alive by orienting yourself towards it in a little way, and not putting an expectation on what it becomes? So like, I know you well enough, Becky, that a lot of times you want to get to the end of something. Like, you want to have the form that something takes. And a lot of times I see you, like when you come visit us up here in Maine, you always say how it's a really beautiful reminder for you because we have a lot of projects in process.
Yep.
And that is like the physical manifestation of this creative energy and this force that you're feeling. And so I think it's something that you felt before, but for you, your job now with this newer consciousness and awareness is to observe that feeling and not force it to take shape in any one thing. But I call it a directional feeling, because it points towards something. It points you in a direction. It doesn't necessarily point you toward violin lessons. Like you did tell me that you were like, I don't know,
Oh, I forgot that part.
yeah, you said I just keep wanting to. I don't know. I have all this energy towards something, and maybe I'm gonna learn to play violin because I just keep sensing that maybe like I can just pull a violin. Is it a bow? Is that what you
It
call
is,
it?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, across each string and see what it sounds like. And when you said that, it literally made me think of this image that's been coming to me so often since I've allowed myself to receive slow time. When I am in my most contemplative, slower moments, I just get the feeling that consciousness, whatever, I think I would call it consciousness or creative energy, wants to flow through me as me so that I am the instrument because you are the instrument too. So you, in order to be in creation with the universe, your job, our job, I believe, is to receive ideas and nurture them so that they can flow through us and out in the form that we might express them, which means that an idea could go through me and come out in a completely different form as the same idea going through you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what was hitting me last night as I was sitting with this more is I have felt this feeling so deeply my whole life. Absolutely. I recognize it all the way through. The inspiration feeling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I cry at everything. I can find inspiration in like a well-made commercial,
Yeah.
because I am feeling something. I feel like I have a deep capacity to recognize the creative force, like what that looks like when it is flowing through someone as them, which is why I can be inspired deeply and sense that feeling in a physicist as I can a filmmaker, you know? But what I've done with that feeling for all of my life is I do want to, you're so astute in noticing how I want to jump to the end because I want to jump straight to the sharing. So, oh my God, I don't know how my poor wife, Tara, handles me because I receive this feeling of awe and I just want to share it so badly that my way of doing that has been here, watch this movie. Here, read this book. Read this book with me. It's sharing the direct source. And now that I'm sitting with it and with this new feeling, I really am feeling the difference of the source of awe is not universal. So exactly what you just said. What the feeling of awe, I believe, is universal, right? Because it's coming from the same source. But what gives each individual person that feeling of awe is so unique and it depends on timing, you know, like one thing could inspire me today and not tomorrow. And that's what the piece that I was missing is it's not just sharing how I receive that feeling of awe. It is letting that feeling of awe live within me and flow through me in a new way. And that's what's so exciting and making me feel so alive because I don't think I've ever sat in the mystery this much before in my life because I really have no idea. It does not feel connected to, it doesn't feel connected to my work in teaching. It feels totally new. And I think that's why the frustration in the beginning, because I don't have an outlet of an artist that's already established in me. And I don't want to. The thing that did come up was the violin. I did have this deep feeling of like, but what was interesting about that was I didn't have this desire to be an accomplished violinist. I had the desire to play the violin poorly, of just playing and seeing what it sounds like just like you said, when if I move this bow on this string, what does it sound like? And it's that like curiosity, that raw curiosity that was just so exciting.
It's so great because it's it feels to me when the more that you describe it, it feels to me that you were in a much pure, essential human place than you have ever been because of all of the work that you've done. Maybe it has to do with the proximity that you and I have to each other now by doing this podcast, where this could be a ripple out as well. It's very childlike what you are expressing. And it's something that is a great service to each adult to be able to return back to this place. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking like, why don't you just go and try to take a walk, but walk in a way that you've never walked before? Can you sing a song to yourself in a way, like there are things that you can do where you don't have to be great at them or spend a lot of money going to school to learn how to draw or
Yeah.
be trained in some sort of literal art form. It just feels like such a open place for you and anyone to be, where you're actually sitting in this place that feels so possible,
Yeah.
right? That you can just live into that thing. So it's directional for you in a way that is just like, how can you exist in a more rich way? And like that's what I do every day, every single breath.
Yeah.
And kids
Yeah.
teach us this too.
Absolutely. I mean, it does feel so childlike in the best way. And I feel like that is my essence. Like, even when I look at my astrology and I look at my human design, it is to have a childlike enthusiasm. Like, that is the most natural state for me. And it is so easy to get disconnected. But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned, can I take a walk in a different way? Or like, it was really windy yesterday and the trees still had a lot of snow. And I just found myself watching how the snow was dancing in the air. It was just, it was miraculous. And in the car, I found myself singing I was playing songs that I loved in high school and like singing at the top of my lungs, and it was interesting because these are the songs that I don't memorize lyrics very well, but the songs of my childhood are kind of in there. But I was re-listening. So I had just watched the documentary for Lilith Fair, and I was so this was this week, right? So this is another piece of the puzzle of following my knowing. I was even listening to myself of, what do I want to watch? What do I want to offer my attention to? And it called me to watching the documentary on Lilith Fair. Do you know what Lilith Fair is? Okay,
Yeah.
good. It's shocking to me how many people don't, but
Oh yeah, no, I do.
my sister took me. I went to the second year. I mean, it only happened for, I think it only happened for 3 years,
Yeah.
97 to 99.
Yeah.
And without even knowing what it was, I went. And so I was like brought back to that magical time. And anyway, all this to say, so then I was listening to the soundtrack today and I heard the Indigo Girls' Closer to Fine. Like, I was really hearing the lyrics. And I kind of always was like, you sing along to it. It was in the Barbie movie, so everyone was singing it. But I found myself really, really listening. And I just started crying. And I was like, wow, this is like, felt like it was speaking directly to my heart in a way that it never had before. And that to me is pointing to this aliveness.
Yeah. You're just it's so simple.
It's so simple.
You're just tapped in now, Becky. You really are. This is like maybe it's just coming more consistently for you.
Yeah.
Like what I'm curious I'm curious what what feels markedly different this time.
Um,
Take a minute and actually think
yeah.
what feels so different this time, because I've heard you notice things before,
Hmm.
but there's something changed in you about this.
I think it's complete surrender to the unknown. It's it's the excitement that I genuinely don't know where it's leading, and I am not trying to know.
Isn't that so freeing?
It's it's really, really just beautiful. It's
There's
really
so much
beautiful.
possibility. I keep getting that word. It feels like anything is possible.
Yeah.
You open yourself up to so much magic and potential and possibility when you don't have your eyes solidly on the end product.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for someone who's at a place like you're describing, who maybe doesn't necessarily have you don't have like a real practice of surrendering to the unknown. You said that the artist way was sort of calling to you.
Hmm.
That's a cool starting place, but also I would like spend some time reflecting on the things that you tended towards as a kid, and like give yourself, well, first of all, you did a good job of giving yourself a week of slowness, which is funny to me that you don't do that often because you're slow. You're just a slow human.
I am a slow human who can also quickly succumb to distractions.
Okay.
I so it was and it was interesting because I want to paint an accurate picture for people because this has been a journey. And so Tara left on Monday, and so and we recorded on Monday.
Yeah.
So I was a little had things to do. So Tuesday was really the first day that it was just me. I this was my intention. So it's like, okay, Tuesday was so hard. My journal entry was like, it is really hard to be with myself. And it was a lot of self-criticism. It was very hard. So yes, I recognize that I'm slow. And I mean, it comes back to what we've talked about so many times of like, I know I'm slow. It sounds, I know my natural frequency is a slower vibration. I am not slow. Um, and it's so interesting because my body has such a slow pace, but my mind is wicked fast.
Yeah, you're right.
And I've lived in my mind for so much of my life that that is habitual. That's what's familiar. So even though I do know that I'm slow and I communicate that to you in moments of insight, you don't see all the moments in between where I'm trying so hard to practice being slow and
Yeah.
trusting that. And because my mind wants to take over and be fast and distract. And it's the same thing I've said so many times of when you sit in stillness, you have to face all those things. And there's plenty of things that are still underneath my surface that are uncomfortable to see when I get slow and when I move into stillness. So that's what comes up. But I really just let myself be with it. And I did journal. So then the next day, I was like, look, let's take the pressure off. Let's just follow. Because I think even like sitting in stillness, I put parameters around it and I try and control it a little bit too much. Or I have this idea of like, if I watch a movie, that is distraction. I think I've tended to put kind of black and white black and white thinking or black and white constraints around what stillness looks like or what being with myself looks like, or, oh, Christina sat and just watched the light, so I have to do that.
Right.
So there was a little bit of that, I think, was also coming into play. So Wednesday, I was just like, just listen to yourself. Whatever it tells you, just listen. And I had a great day. I had such a great day. And I reflected on Tuesday and I was like, okay, I sat with my feelings. It was hard, but I also journaled. There wasn't that like judgment of what it looked like. And I think that day was really important.
And maybe it's just more information for you to notice that as you're tending to yourself and this directional feeling, that you can expect a day of discouragement. you know
Yeah,
like that's information, because the
for
reason I
sure.
want to parse this out with you is because like it might be nice to sort of figure out what Becky, like you're at this incredibly potent place, and it's a great thing to be able to figure out how to harvest that and like move it in a direction that you are excited about, and to like let it keep flowing. So I'm thinking of like when I have this feeling, I have figured out at this point, because I've practiced for over a decade, the like what I need to do to cultivate the soil around me so that I can grow fruit, if I can use a metaphor of like a garden. So, for example, I know now that when I take a little solitude retreat, the third day is the day, and it sounds like this is similar for you. The third day is the day where things become very clear. But I've learned that I can cultivate a lifestyle in my everyday life by doing a myriad of things that helps me stay in a consistent relationship with that inspired feeling. And so I'm like parsing this out with you to try to figure out, or to try to help you or encourage you to reflect on how this feels different, because maybe you can point towards something that you can consciously try again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was reflecting on this a little bit because so on Wednesday, from Tuesday to Wednesday, I was kind of reflecting on what makes this day different. And one piece of it was my mornings are really important. How I start that day is really important because I kind of wake up every single day of like clean slate. Like I will wake up, and this is why I know I have to not schedule my day, but kind of set an intention for the flow of my day the night before, because I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't know. Who am I? It's like, who am I? What day is it? Totally lost, right?
Yeah.
And I tend to abandon those practices really quickly. So even though I've scheduled them, that's kind of the first step, right? Is setting, for me anyway, I need scaffolding around
Yeah.
my days to anchor me and remind me what my intentions are. And I've been practicing that for a little bit, but then the next step is to honor them. So I think back to our conversation with Ashley where you were talking about, I would call it systematizing. You may say prioritizing and like making sure that once a quarter you do your sensory deprivation, and once a year or whatever your rhythm is, like you have these things built in. And that is very important to me. I think now this next piece, which I think is why it came with the message of self-love, because I have to have enough self-love to prioritize that and say, this is important and I am going to do this. Whatever it is that I figure out that my morning needs to look like for me to be set up and be grounded in that day, be grounded in this feeling of I'm going to live in the mystery and I'm going to follow my directional feelings. I need to be anchored in the morning. And one thing I noticed is, and if you don't know, I would say advice to anyone, if you don't know what that thing is, you could play around with like meditation, reading, journal, whatever. These are kind of the known things. But I think what's more important is to find your specific thing. And I think for me, what I discovered this week and what I was reflecting on is when I read in the morning, something that really inspires me, not something generic, but something that gives me that feeling of awe, or a person who gives me that feeling of awe, I think that was a major difference throughout the week that kept me, it like grounded me in that day, in that feeling of connection to awe. And in the past, I think I've found myself prioritizing Tara's needs and Tara's schedule in the morning because she works and I want to make sure that she has a really grounded morning and has her needs met before she goes into her job. And I have more flexibility. And that's still true. And that's still really important to me. And how can we both get our needs met? And it wasn't her, like she would have easily rearranged her schedule it wasn't her, right? She's the most supportive woman I've ever met, person I've ever met. But it's me having the self-love to say my needs are important, whether I am earning an income or not. That is not the worth of me. I am inherently worthy to have my needs met.
Yep. You are. Yeah.
We all are. That's the thing. It's like, you are worthy, period. And this is like the feeling of why I get the feeling of awe when I read Sarah Mari Walker and her awe for life. There are billions of years of life assembling and reassembling and just trying to explore that it created you and me and everything that is here today. And so who am I to not love myself? Who am I to say I'm not worthy? Life thinks I'm worthy because life created me and I am here. And I keep coming back to what Einstein said, that there are two ways to look at your life. Either as nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And everything is a fucking miracle. I'm going to earn my E today.
I love when we finally earn the E.
If you're going to do it, I think I already said ass, so might as well put an exclamation mark on it.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. This is all so true. And so maybe this feeling that you have that's so different than it has been before is because it's your self-love in action. The fact that you might think, these people created this thing, I feel so inspired, something is different now, means that maybe you're ready to feel worthy enough to create something you're proud of. Ooh.
Oof.
Probably, huh?
Yeah. Something unexpected that I'm really proud of. Something that, wait, I'm actually going to sit with that one for a minute. Because, I'm proud of, there's plenty of things I've been proud of, but this does feel different. Like I'm proud of the teachings that I've put into this world. I'm proud of a lot of things, but this does feel different.
So a lot of our conversations remind me of my conversations with my brother-in-law. And one of the things that he said he's been thinking about recently is the phrase three words and how different these three words can feel in an embodied way when they're changed. So the first one is I am here. And he's working on getting towards here I am. And it sounds like you're sort of at this place as well. Like you are here, you've practiced being here.
Yeah.
And then to come out with something that maybe isn't like, we don't know. We don't know. There's so much possibility here. You are ready to receive yourself and pronounce, here I am, in whatever form that takes. That's an incredible feeling and different. Here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am.
It's different than I am here.
It really is.
There's movement with here I am. Like you step into forward with here I am.
Yeah. I just want to sit with it for a second because some things are coming up. That's powerful.
We got time?
It feels like the first thing that's coming up is being born. Like, here I am. Because when you're born, everything's so pure.
This is a pure, what you're expressing today is a pure, pure feeling. I believe it's what I'm made of. We are all made of this, but for some reason I have stuck with it. And like, it feels like a life, path for me to encourage this and like draw this out of others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Being born. Here I am.
Here I am.
Everything's possible. Anything's possible and everything's possible. And the willingness to be vulnerable enough to receive that possibility is radical.
It really is. Yeah.
Like what comes up, because I'm looking at you and you're like, this is like it's like a stunned, like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
It is.
Something's like changing. Like my stomach is turning for you. Something is changing in you where you actually know enough to stop and let it like settle on you. And I'm like picturing your own image of the water getting still and stuff coming up beneath. Like what can you see when you like what comes up in the water when you reframe this for yourself?
Well, what came up first and why I do know enough to pause is the mind jumps in and the mind jumps in and so there's the sitting with and there's the stunnedness of I just need to take this in for a moment. And then there was a little bit of the mind jumping in of like, you're recording a podcast right now, ladies. Say something, say something, say something. That's the old habit, right? But yes, I do know enough to say, okay, I hear you. I know why you're saying that. Thank you, friend. I'm just going to sit, but it's important to sit with this for a second. So what comes up? I mean, the baby image was the most predominant one that came out. It was like, and it's interesting, something that that I've been kind of sitting with or hanging out with a little bit, and something I know in my mind, but I've really been allowing it to come into my experience of life, is every single moment is an opportunity to start over, is like a fresh start. Every single moment. And it doesn't feel that way a lot of the times. I recognize that, especially if you're in the middle of hard times. It feels really difficult to say, yeah, right. Like I can hear even my own skepticism of like my issues and problems are going to be here this moment and next moment. But I think when I can really embody that and remember that every single moment we are being reborn, every single moment is an opportunity to be reborn with a new choice, Like even just now, you said this thing that felt like a bombshell. And the old habits were there, but I had a choice to not let those old habits take over. And I have an opportunity to make a different choice, to be different. And I think, so when I think of that baby, like coming into the world, here I am, can I remember that moment by moment, that every moment I have that chance to be reborn and say, here I am. And it's interesting because I have been feeling like this week of like a starting over, of like from a kid. Like, what if I started over from a kid? What would that look like? And maybe that's why the violin kind of popped in, because I played it when I was very young, but didn't really stick with it. So it does feel like this, like returning to what was there in the beginning before life got a hold of me. Mm-hmm. And to be clear, I have no regrets for what life has. I have no regrets for anything. Like the life has assembled me in this way with the experiences that I've had to have this moment. And so there's no negativity or regret. It's a very joyous feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just it's just like an essence. Like it feels like a returning to your essence.
Mm.
And it could even just be like a slight turn of the dial, a change of perspective. Like it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to stop being a mindfulness teacher and like color your hair or do something very drastic and completely change, but it's just a reorientation.
Which those things, those drastic changes, are what I would have reached for in the past. It would have felt like I need to be this totally different person, or that's like tied to that feeling of frustration that I originally had, because it's like frustration that I'm not a different person. And that's not what life is asking of us. It's not asking us to be, life assembled us in this way. I don't want to say for a reason. I will say life has assembled us this way with great care and curiosity. Actually, I don't know why. The why is not the important question to me right now. But I have been assembled, and here I am. Mm-hmm. With whatever I've been assembled with, or for whatever reason, here I am. And now what am I going to do? What am I going to choose to do with this one wild and miraculous life.
Yeah. As you say that a couple times, I got the image of like Becky somewhere saying inwardly, I am here, I am here, I am here. And it's like a very, um, it's a very present, very still expression that's beautiful. And then when you like look up and say, here I am, and all of a sudden all of these paths stretch out before you.
Yeah.
Here I am is like the great unlocking to possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am. And it's on, no path is wrong. But it's like
Mm.
all of a sudden the lights turn on and you see what's ahead as possible, like so many possible paths.
Mm-hmm. When you said that, I got this like reorientation of when I say I am here, there's such an emphasis on the I, which the I doesn't really exist. Like, what is the I? It's like, it's who we are, both our physical bodies, our identifications, are ever changing, are not static. So the I is an illusion. So when I say I am here, it does have this like emphasis on most false thing about me, but here I am puts the emphasis on the only thing that is real, which is this moment right now, this assembly of me, this assembly of you. That's the orientation.
I love it.
I love it so much. That's a bombshell reorientation. It really is.
Yeah. And like I said, this was my brother in law's. And you know when he figured it out? When he finally took time for himself and took a couple of days and went away. That dropped. He called it a download.
Wow.
Yeah. He told me at Mimi's funeral, actually.
Mm.
He was like, can I tell you? Can I report back? This is what I learned when I went and checked on my silence.
Mm.
What a great offering of perspective.
Yeah. What a gift. I mean, and look how it ripples out.
Already.
Yeah. These things ripple out like the gifts we give ourselves to be more in touch with ourselves ripple out in ways that we will never know. It is the least selfish thing you could do.
I know. Yeah. That's shocking. It is shocking. But seriously, once you start tending to yourself like this, you realize that very quickly that it is not a selfish path.
Yeah.
It's so much more. Now we get to go and just take this I am here and change it to here I am and see where that goes.
Mm-hmm. And it is playful and directional and I love this image of multiple paths and it just feels so playful. Like, what's next?
Yeah, here I am.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What am I going to create? What am I going to receive?
And it's reminding me to come back to what we've talked about before, this image that you got of like one stone at a time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so often in the past, I have wanted to jump to where does this stone lead? Where does this path lead? And it's like, who am I to know? Life doesn't even know. I actually don't even think life knows. Yeah. But life, I don't know, life, when I think of like the lineage of life, when I really connect to from the billions of years from the origin of life and the billions of years. There was 10 billion years before we got in the universe, before we got to life on this planet. Life just wants to expand and play. It feels playful. Like, what can I create? So what can I create? Here I am. What can I create?
Yeah. Anything.
Literally anything.
Yep. Yeah. And then there's this beautiful thing. There's this, I forget where I heard this, but if you give a child a toy, you can either teach them how to play with it, and that's the one way that they will do it, or they will use it to play with it in all these different ways that it wasn't actually created to be played with. It really is this like baseline energy that can take form in so many things, processes, ways. I think it is really worth remembering to orient yourself towards this possibility as often as possible. That's a choice that you have moment by moment by moment.
Yeah. I'm excited to play.
It's like nothing. It's no big deal. It's just, you just get to do it. You get to live your life.
Which is a radical orientation. Unfortunately, it's a radical. I wish that were the norm.
Let's make it that.
We will. Life is. So one of my one of the directional feelings led me to rewatching the movie Contact. Clearly, I love movies, and I love the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. It's based on Carl Sagan's book, and she's talking to this, in charge scientist, and he says, "I know you want the world to be fair, but we just don't live in that world." And she says, "Funny, I thought the world is what we make of it." And you're right. Choice by choice, moment by moment, we choose how to make the world.
And that's what we get to do with this podcast and these conversations. It's already happening. So many people will reflect back to me, just like this thing that you said or Becky said or you were talking about really actually helped me think of my own life differently, and then it just ripples out from there.
That brings tears to my eyes. Like that. That's that feeling that I can't. It's a different feeling than awe, but it's in that same vein of just like, wow.
It's awesome.
I love you, friend.
I love you too.
I'm very grateful for you.
Same. The music was recorded live as a part of the sound service at 3S Art Space in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in January 2025, where musicians responded to the changing light in the room that reflected and refracted through Christina's suspended artwork. Andrew Halchak, the composer of this piece, is playing bass clarinet, and Tomas Cruz and Katie Seiler are singing.
Oh my God, Becky, I've been waiting all day. I know there's never a rush with you, but this is something I really wanted to talk to you about because what you're describing, it's so, it's so amazing to me that I get to be the one to tell you this. But what you're describing is what it feels like to have an idea and to want to make it take form through you. I think of what you're describing as a directional feeling. And when it's very strong, I pay attention to it. And it's what fuels my whole life, really. But the more that you have this feeling, the more I believe you're in alignment with what wants to come through you. That's why I call it a directional feeling, because it indicates a path forward. I guess I would think of this as sort of like the same thing that I would think of as synchronicities. Like the more that you have this feeling, the more that it's pointing you in a direction to walk, or to learn, or to just experience. And it feels very much like a spark or like a light bulb moment. Like, is that sort of how it's feeling to you? Like it's very energized. And if it's feeling you with awe, that's like the awe, I think I would put in a separate category, but I think what you're describing is just like the creative spark for something. And I think what you're describing, and the fact that it is so remarkable to you to be feeling this way, is that you are in flow with the present moment of being a creative, generative person. And that is enough. Like, that is where the meat of all creative expression lies, is in that feeling and in the meat of like the experience of feeling inspired. What you're talking about is inspiration. And you don't have to know what it's going to be. You just have to trust that feeling and allow yourself to be with it. So I'll use those words back at you. They're your words. Can you be with it? Can you be with this feeling and know that it doesn't actually have to become anything necessarily, but even by being with it, its nature is to become something. So you just have to trust that, like, the more you walk in that direction or think in that direction or create in that direction, that is a fertile ground that will become whatever it's meant to become, big or small, because you are tending to it by orienting yourself towards it. What do you think? What do you think? I love you.